LEGO 2K Drive was released on May 19th. While a lot of people have enjoyed the gameplay so far, unfortunately the game's release has been marred with a few glaring criticisms, but everyone seems to agree on one thing. The in-game garage feature that lets you build any LEGO car you could ever imagine, up to 350 pieces, is the best part of the game by far. The community has really ran with the garage, creating all sorts of amazing things, all the way from real-life cars in LEGO form to things that aren't similar to cars in the slightest. I made a video looking at some of the most amazing custom builds that people had built in just 2 weeks since the game came out, but now that there's been a lot more time for people to get comfortable in the garage, it's time to take another look at some of the most amazing custom cars in LEGO 2K Drive. If you haven't seen this channel before, my name is Michael. I make all sorts of LEGO focused content, from mocks, tutorials, and fun reaction videos like this. So if that's something you may be into, consider hitting that subscribe button. All the builds we will be looking at today will be coming from the LEGO 2K Drive subreddit, with the original creators credited in the corner of the screen over here, as well as down below in the description. I can't mention Reddit though without mentioning that a bunch of people are currently unhappy with Reddit's recent changes concerning their API access, which has caused a bunch of third-party Reddit apps to go defunct, out of business, and shut down. Even my favorite app, Bacon Reader, which I had been using since 2011 to view Reddit, is now gone. So I do have a personal beef with Reddit over this, as well as a lot of the Reddit community. You can read up on that if you guys want to. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the community has come up with in the garage since we last checked. I have never seen these before. Number one, oh god, we got the infamous Titan submarine. I don't think I'm going to say anything else about this, but we will critique the accuracy of the build. So as you can see, they did capture the tail of the Titan quite well. You know how it has that flat on top, curvy on bottom tail, which is very iconic. Yeah, it looks pretty amazing, honestly. I think that the hatch probably could have been a dark gray instead of black, but overall, this looks like a pretty faithful build. I personally wouldn't ride in this boat for many reasons, but luckily in this game, you don't have to worry about this submarine disappearing at the bottom of the ocean. That was made by Cheese Egg, and Cheese Egg is really into these current events type builds. So his other build that he created was the Evergreen tanker that got stuck in the Suez Canal. I really do like the build of the tanker here though, and there's really nice usage of these 1x2 plates and tiles to recreate all of the crates, all of the shipping containers on the ship. But you can see the scale here is a little bit off, and we do not have to deal with this tanker potentially blocking one of the bodies of water in LEGO 2K Drive. Thank you to Cheese Egg for starting this video off right. Great current events and news references. What really stands out to me, especially on the subreddit, is the builds that are kind of wacky, the builds that are references to current events, pop culture, all sorts of stuff like that. I wanted to make a Roman chariot, but I didn't have enough space for horses, so I asked 2 volunteers to pull the chariot. And the chariot design is quite nice, but look at these giant, they almost look like cavemen, and they're absolutely massive. They look like giants in real life, maybe like Grop from Harry Potter. But I love the spirit of the build. He did actually follow up and post an update to that original build where he actually used the horses. And these horses came off the Texas truck. I think it's called Big Tex. Big Tex is one of my favorite trucks in the game.
Look at my Texas truck. Texas ain't care about you no more.
It's got that classic Texas flair. It's a massive gas guzzler. And a quick tip for you guys, if you didn't know this already, if there's a piece that you're wanting to use that's not available in the shop, or if there's a base for a car that you want to use that's not one of the default ones in the shop, all you have to do is find a car that has the elements that you want, edit that car, and then you can use any of the pieces on that car. So that's what they did. They used Big Tex, deleted everything but the horses, and built a brand new chariot right behind it. Next, we got something from Metal Slug. This is a SV001 Metal Slug. I'm not a huge Metal Slug person. I am aware that it is a game, a side-scrolling game where you have, I guess, a big tank. That looks pretty accurate to me. And that is a really like scary looking tank. It's almost like a battle bot with all of the little contraptions and weapons hanging off of it, and I feel like they captured this really well. Now the person that made this, Grand Humor 1196, they are also one of my favorite people because they followed up with a video actually showing their Metal Slug in action. This thing is just ripping around. It's much faster than you would expect a tank to be, but I love that, and I love when we get videos too. We've got the Toyota Hilux, and what I've loved about these is they capture the detail of the cars quite well, but they're also very simple and they're also very small. And I wish Lego would come up with designs that are similar to these too for like their Lego City sets. We've got original powerboat design. Pretty nice boat. I would also love a Lego set of this. Mazda Miata, that is a car I'm somewhat familiar with. Gets a little interesting up here in the front, but this Nissan 240Z, and I only know that because it's written on the picture, is absolutely epic. I'm gonna be doing my best not to do repeat builds. Like if there's another X-Wing, a lot of people have built X-Wings. I'm not going to look at more of them unless they are really good. The one exception to that rule though is going to be forklifts. We do have a forklift here, different than the one that I showed in the original video. I hope that this guy is forklift certified, or else they're not going to be very happy about that. Gotta have your certification. Let me drive the forklift, baby. He's a Phantom. This is the Spectre Speeder from Danny Phantom. I did watch some Danny Phantom though, really cool cartoon. And they rebuilt Danny Phantom's ship. Now the author here, he does express a little bit of frustration with creating a really curved cockpit, because you can see in the cartoon, it's a perfectly spherical cockpit. Which I do understand. If this was something that Lego was ever actually released, I imagine they would actually just create a mold or use a pre-made mold. These types of things are just what makes my heart sing. In the first video, we took a look at some Halo builds. As you guys know, there is a Mega Bloks Halo series, which is something that I experimented with growing up. I've always loved Halo. I think it's fun to dream about what Halo would look like if Lego had the license. So here's a great example for that. This is the Halo 2 Wraith. Only 2 pictures here. This is a great example of using just a few pieces to make your build come to life, because this really doesn't look like many pieces at all, but you can see with just the slopes and slants that they chose, they were able to capture the form factor of the Wraith incredibly well. And I'm just imagining seeing one of these babies across the map just lobbing a giant energy ball at you. Oh man, those were good times. A flower pot. We said my own flower pot. It is quite boxy. It looks like they went with the philosophy of maybe having a minifig inside, because they put a hole here that's going to allow you to actually look out. It is pretty funny that they created such a large flower pot and just a tiny flower. A small version of a Stormtrooper taco truck using the Star Wars Brickhead set as a guide. So this is really cool. I have no idea what this is from. It looks like it's an artist's rendition. So I found this on Behance. I don't know if you guys know what Behance is, but it's basically where like artists will share their work. So this looks like the artist is Eric A, and it looks like it's just a rendering, but a really cool one. They probably made this in Blender or something. WALL-E, another great Pixar movie. I would like to be this WALL-E and wander through the wasteland on my own. I love the lights here that they've given WALL-E, and I feel that this is another example of having a super simple build that perfectly replicates what it's trying to do. If I had to critique this one, I feel like you could do a little bit more on his eyeballs. I think there would be a cool way to make something that looks a little bit more similar to his eyeballs, but for the simplicity of the design, I think it works. So we've got a F-22, absolutely awesome plane. Lego does not like military stuff for understandable reasons. You gotta bask in the glory of this F-22, baby. I mean, this thing is freaking bad. And we've also got an F-117 stealth bomber. So this is probably the second coolest plane ever made, right after the SR-71 Blackbird. And then finally an Apache helicopter. An interesting take on a Lego helicopter. I wonder if this is how Lego would do it. It's a little thick and stocky, but who am I to critique? I'm not the one making awesome builds. I don't even want to critique these. If I am critiquing the builds at all, it's not because I think I could do a better job. It's more so just because I don't want to just be sitting here and going, ooh, awesome, cool. cool. So trying to have, you know, a little bit more unique thoughts other than just saying, wow. We got my new car. It's called Moto on the Go, inspired by the MotoGP arcade game. Now this takes us into one of our sub themes of today's video, which is arcade game consoles. We saw one of those in the first video where they made their own 2K Drive arcade console. So now we've got MotoGP. If you spent any time at the arcade in your life, you've probably played a game similar to this, but it's just one of those games where you get to sit on the physical motorcycle and turn your body like this. This person must have loved that game, and I love what they've done here. And I love how they are able to use the glow on the pieces to actually create a screen. It's a very cool effect. But here he said, I made a lawnmower I use at my workplace. The Steel RM 248.1 petrol lawnmower. And he even included a picture of the lawnmower here, which you just making a mower, dude. That's so cool. And it's quite big, bigger than any one man. This would be used to mow like Shrek's yard or something. I'm trying to think of a big character. Hagrid could use it. No, not even. You would literally need a giant to use this. But that's cool. Those are my favorite types of builds. Just the random ones that you just want to make because you have an attachment to a certain thing. So Cheese Egg is coming out as one of the best builders so far, but he has had the most. So Linefelter XXY said, I unlocked a faucet. So I made this. And it's a whole kitchen. A whole functioning kitchen. I say functioning just because look at this guy. He is going hard. Got something on the stove, but apparently there's a faucet piece in this game. I didn't even know about that. And actually, I'm not even sure if I knew that Lego has a faucet. I thought he meant something else. So what sets has this faucet appeared in? Yeah, it's this one with dual handle, small sink faucet. Oh, it's appeared in 64 sets since 2011. Oh, okay. So it's just in a bunch of sets that, of course, I don't have. A lot of friend sets. I kind of wondered about that. Interesting. So I wonder why they included this in the game and not other parts, but he put it to good work. It inspired a Lego designer, but it looks like he built this on top of the alien flying saucer car. So another clever way to start a car, just pick another one, change the color, and then build on top of it. Another helpful designing tip for all you guys out there. So Jurassic Park Jeep this time. Gotta love a Jurassic Park Jeep. They were pretty faithful to the Jeep Wrangler. I love the way they've used the brown bars on the back. And I wonder if you could fit 2 people in the back. But check this out. They've got it posed right in front of the dinosaur in the background. What is that, a brontosaurus? They're living in their world, baby. They probably saw these dinosaurs and they were like, I gotta make Jurassic Park Jeep. This is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins.
As you guys know, I do love Star Wars builds. We got Anakin Skywalker's ship here. They did build it off the set 7661 and based it off of that. That's another thing you can do. Just use the official instructions. This dude is just going hard on the subreddit. Cheese Egg is just, he's killing it. So he said, I made this car and I called it Drive Revolution. Another arcade game. If you guys are DDR fans, I was more of like a Guitar Hero guy, but DDR was cool too. It was just much harder for me personally. One commenter said, it would be awesome if when you turned, his foot would step on the arrow pointing in that direction. Cheese Egg said, he does wiggle around when you steer, so it looks like he's doing a little boogie. Another guy who's had a bunch of builds on the subreddit is this guy, Top Designer 2647. And he said, built a full 350 brick limit piano on a stage based off a different piano build by Masao Hidaka, where he followed the video for the piano and built a stage by himself. This thing is huge. This has got to be approaching the size limits for this game in the dimensions, both up and down ways. Excellent job on the curtains with all these different slants, which kind of frame the stage quite nicely with very natural curtains. Another person who is featured on the original video is The Alp. He made a bumper car in the original video. He's created a Game Boy. And this is very, very nostalgic because he's using the transparent purple pieces that were on some of the original Game Boys. The Game Boy Advance that I had this exact texture on it. And that's just a fun little extra detail, let alone, you know, making the buttons yourself, which looks great, by the way. And you've got the alien. He's just riding right on top of the screen. It looks almost as if the Game Boy drives sideways, which is pretty funny because you can see, look at the way that he's pointing. The list of builds that I have found that I wanted to talk about in this video is just a little bit too long, so I'm going to be making actually another part to this in a couple of days. So stay tuned to that and subscribe so you guys do not miss out. Peace out.